Welcome to the second set of lesson 3. It's an Excel video explaining a little bit about it. The first lesson is going to be 3.9. 3.9 deals with inserting cell comments. So when you have an active cell, you can actually introduce or put a comment by the cell. So it kind of explains how to do that. Always in the side note over here, you'll see there's other ways to insert a comment. Excel usually has 2 or 3 different ways to do that. Just follow the lesson through. In this lesson, you're going to be opening the world's fastest car 9. Lesson 3.10 lets us view the cell comments. One of the things to note that in the navigation bar, you can always find the review in here in the view. In the review, you can show all comments, and it will show all the comments that you might have made in the document. It also staggers a comment. So to see the entire comment, like in here, you'll actually need to click on it and it will show the entire comment. For this lesson, you're going to open World's Fastest Cars 10. Lesson 3.11 talks about printing cell comments. Every once in a while, you want to print the comments so you can see what comments people might have made on your worksheet and put them in order. There's a great way of doing this through Excel. If you open World's Fastest Cars 11, then you will kind of see how to do this. And what it does is it views the entire page of comments, and you can print the comments in that way. Lesson 3.12 introduces a new comment, a new concept. It introduces understanding absolute and relative cell references. So this has to do with Excel's autofill, and you can see how useful autofill is when you're copying the formulas. Most times things work out perfectly. Sometimes autofill is a little too helpful. Excel is very intuitive, and sometimes we want the cells to always be referenced, or the formula always to reference the same cell. So in this lesson, you're going to learn how to do that. Absolute references means that when you drag down a formula with autofill, one of the cells will stay to be a permanent cell reference. And relative means that it changes every time you drag it down. So for this lesson, you're going to open World's Fastest Cars 12 and follow the lesson through. Just note in this lesson that adding the dollar signs before a cell reference is a way that you can keep the cell reference as absolute. So even though you drag the formula down, the reference or the cell that formula is about, it won't drag down. One of the fast ways to do this is using the F4 key on the keyboard. So when you use the F4 key on the keyboard, you highlight your formula or your cell, you use the F4 key on the keyboard, it automatically will put the dollar sign in. So that is a very fast and easy way. F4, it's on the very top of the keyboard. Lesson 3.13 works a little bit more with cell references. In this case, it's understanding mixed cell references. Don't worry too much if you don't get this at first. Work through the lesson. It will help you understand it. If you don't totally get it right away, that's okay. It's one of these things that takes a little bit of practice in order to understand it well. In this lesson, you're opening a new file. It's called International Price List. And we're going to skip to lesson 3.18. The other lessons, 3.15 to 3.17, deal with a template. I don't think that's a valuable use of our time. We only have so much time to go through Excel. And templates are something that you can learn about later on. There's also a lot of templates that are already that you're already able to use when you go to open or to a new blank Excel worksheet. You can choose templates. So this lesson 3.18 talks about freezing the columns and the rows. And what that does is sometimes when you have a long list of data, you want the top row where you've got your headings to be visible even when you scroll down and all the way down the pages and pages of data. And you can freeze a column or you can freeze a row, and that allows you to see that data. So in this case, the date, the first name, last name, and company name, that would be frozen, and then you would scroll all this data, all these names all the way through, and you would still see this top header, so you always know what you're referring to. So in this lesson, can you please open up sales first quarter 2008. In lesson 3.19, it teaches us how to split the window into multiple panes. Sometimes we want to see data that's at the very top of a worksheet, and also data that's at the bottom of a worksheet. We can't see the whole thing, so we always have to scroll through. So here we're freezing groups of rows or groups of columns, and it teaches us how to do that in lesson 3.19. In this lesson, again, open sales first quarter 2008. Just as in Excel, or sorry, just as in Word and PowerPoint, Excel always lets you also check the spelling. It's not as important because we don't have as many words usually in Excel, but it's still useful to note. So lesson 320 tells you how to check the spelling. Another way to use a speller checker is with the F7 key. That's the same as it would be in Word and as it is in PowerPoint. So F7 will right away pull up the spell checker. For this lesson, open Empire Car Sales stock list. And that's it for the lessons today. When you're finished with that, please do session 3. And you have to open the best-selling albums of all times to do session 3. You will find this in the last page of the chapter 3 or the lesson 3 worksheets. Thank you.